All right, welcome to 433 and we guys. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be going over a few topics at club and international level. First, we're going to be talking about England and Spain, and then Gareth Bale's recent upturn in form. We're going to be talking about the Premier League table, Champions League groups, our biggest surprises and disappointments of the season so far, and then our predictions as the seasons go along. But first, we're going to get stuck in the England and Spain game, which if you missed, it was an absolute belter. Alex, I don't know if you were able to catch the game.
Yeah, I watched most of it. It was sad to see Luke Shaw go off injured again.
Boy, that guy's had
He's had a rough,
unlucky few years.
Oh man, between nearly having his leg actually amputated because of all the blood clots from the Champions League game, and just in general missing so much time due to injury. It's been tough for him, but he's been good when he's back. I mean, his assist to Rashford
Boy, that ball,
to open the scoring. Oh, that ball was beautiful.
That was a beautiful ball.
Perfectly weighted right around both defenders. It was just.
It's interesting that he's been, when he's gotten the opportunity to impress, he's taken his chances.
Yeah, exactly. He's been really creative, especially
prior to this season, he'd been relegated to the bench under Jose, and you have to ask questions of why. I mean, it's kind of same story for Jose. Goes to a new club, has a young, talented player that's impressing a lot and stifles his growth or ships him out.
Exactly.
And Luke Shaw, wanted to stay and fight for his spot at Manchester United, so more power to him. But it was, it's been tough to see him kind of sit on the bench knowing that he's probably the club's best left back, and Jose would rather go with, Ashley Young out of position. But this season...
Does Ashley Young have a position anymore? Because he's played...
Utility, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. He's like a utility infielder for baseball.
I mean, at this point, he might suit up in goal with David De Gea's form, but it's been...
Honestly, if Lindelof or Bailly goes down, dude, he's our next center back.
He's been everywhere in the park. He didn't do too bad at the World Cup, but he definitely didn't cover himself in glory.
Yeah.
Most of the attacks came down the right side.
I think he had an assist, though.
He might have had an assist. Trivial to say that. He was not the man to be watching in an England shirt. But no, whenever Luke Shaw's had the chance, he's impressed. But as for the rest of the England squad, I mean, it was... I love what Southgate has done with the team. I mean, keep in mind, this is a team that 2 years ago lost to Iceland in the Euros.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
and had Harry Kane trying to bang him in from 40
yards
out.
And that's not a shot at Iceland. They're a very organized, compact team, but it's Iceland. Their best player is Gylfi Sigurdsson.
Yeah, and when you compare the two teams and the two academies, it shouldn't be happening, but it does. I mean, you could say the same thing about Russia beating Spain, but at least they lost in 120 minutes and not 90 like England did.
And it was Russia being the hosts. Felt like a home game for them because it was. But no, I mean, England, I love what Gareth Southgate has done with them. He's gotten the team an identity. He's moved young players in to give them an opportunity.
Absolutely. What he's doing with the youth is incredible. And we kind of see that also with the United States right now. Dave Sarachan, I think his name. Honestly, I don't know how to pronounce it. But,
it's Sarachan.
Yeah, he's moving a bunch of the youngsters in. Unfortunately, Clint Dempsey retires without beating Landon Donovan's record.
It's almost fitting that they end tied.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the debate between who's the best men's player of all time for the U.S. is firmly between those two.
Oh, absolutely.
It's fitting that there's no real answer on that metric alone. But I mean, for England and Spain, game finished 2-1 for those of you that didn't get a chance to watch. You could argue that England probably had the better opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. I think Rashford could have done more. His header was perfect. You can't do much when De Gea saves like that. De Gea finally found his saving form again, and of course it comes against his own teammates, which is unfortunate. But De Gea looked back to his normal self out there. I mean, you can't really do much about that first Rashford goal. It was just way too perfect.
It's more the third opportunity Rashford had.
Yeah, that was not good.
He's put clean through, and he has... I mean, De Gea is stranded in the middle of goal, and he was absolutely rooted to the spot. So he could have gone either side of him, but he chose to try to hammer it and hits it right at De Gea. And, it's when you don't capitalize on opportunities like that against top teams, you're going to get punished for it.
Yeah, exactly.
But surprisingly, the possession was not
Lopsided.
It was not as lopsided as you'd think. When you play against Spain, you think they're going to have 65% of the ball. But it was actually relatively split, 45 to 55 in Spain's favor. But still, England did good pressing down the opposition. They've got, just some workmen in the midfield.
Absolutely.
Playing in a 3-1-4-2 with Shaw.
I think it's more of a 5-2. I think ESPN has messed up.
Yeah, Shaw and Trippier playing as wingbacks pretty much, but Lingard and Ali's work rate was phenomenal throughout the World Cup. It was phenomenal here. But work rate is one thing, but you have to offer quality. I mean, I saw somebody tweet and said it's tough to win when you have 8 players on the field because they felt like Kane and Ali and Lingard essentially didn't suit up. Which Harry Kane, I mean, I don't remember him touching the ball more than 10 times.
Yeah, exactly.
He was starved of service, but trotted out a good team. Back line looked really solid for the most part, as solid as they're going to look.
Harry Maguire has been doing really good. He just inked a new 5-year deal with Leicester.
Ties him down at the King Power Stadium until 2023.
Until they decide to ship him off for a bunch of money.
Yeah. He has slowly but surely become probably the most solid center back in the England squad. All the eyes were on John Stones,
who missed his mark in the Rodrigo go-ahead goal for Spain.
But England, they did a lot better than I think people thought they would.
They're a new team. They're not the same England we're used to. I mean, they won on pens, which is insane for England. They're not acting like their old selves.
No, it's a bit more adventurous.
Exactly.
It's a bit more attacking, which you like to see. Maybe Jose can take a page out of Southgate's book and right the ship.
Or take a page out of anyone's book but his own.
But somehow it's ended out that knowing the man. But
absolutely not. Yeah, no, he's staying with his game plan.
Let's talk about the team that actually ended up winning. I feel like we should give credit where credit's due because Spain trotted out a hell of a squad.
Oh, absolutely. And even without their main people like PK, Iniesta, even Diego Costa, who got injured after arriving at camp, which stinks for Atletico, but they still managed to pull out a good win there.
Yeah.
And they look pretty good doing it. I mean, they got cut apart a few times, and England had their opportunities, which they squandered for the most part. And the first goal, you can't do anything about how perfect that pass was.
I mean, that's just sometimes there's going to be plays like that in a game where you really just have to tip your hat and say, that's just good football. But
exactly.
But I mean, trotted out a hell of a squad considering that Andres Iniesta, Gerard Piqué, two of their mainstays, just retired.
Yeah.
So on paper, you think they look about as weak as they have in a while, but the midfield in particular is what impressed me.
Oh, absolutely.
Thiago coming in, Saul coming in.
Dude, Saul only scores in big game. I'm telling you.
He looked like the pick of the midfield, surprisingly.
Oh, absolutely.
Playing next to Busquets and Thiago, he still looked like the pick of the midfield. The front line, you wish you saw this attacking impetus at the World Cup. Because at the World Cup, it was a lot of let's pass.
Let's just keep passing back and forth.
And some of that could be down to having an interim coach, essentially.
Yeah.
Because of the firing of Lopetegui, but
not even firing. It's just a terrible situation. And then Hero got put in a weird situation where he had to just try to stick to his guns, stick to what he knew, and it worked. I mean, it didn't work terribly. It's just they got unlucky.
Yeah, I mean,
they were capitalize.
I think anybody that watched the game against Russia will say they were the far better team.
Oh, absolutely.
Didn't take their chances.
Yeah.
They completed more than 1,000 passes in the game.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Unfortunately, most of those were sideways or backwards, but still. But I mean,
apparently Sergio Ramos didn't have like a single forward pass for a while, or like past the 50-yard line. Something ridiculous.
Wouldn't surprise me, but they looked a lot more fluid here. At the World Cup, they wanted to play a 4-5-1. They really only had one man up top.
Yeah.
And it was, Diego Costa played phenomenal the whole World Cup. He really was probably Spain's best player.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he single-handedly kept them in it versus Portugal, considering the side goals they conceded
the solo goals that he scored in this World Cup were of the top order.
Yeah.
But tonight they trotted out in a 4-3-3, and they looked like they had a lot more fluidity in the final third. I mean, having those creative players outside on the wings, and when you're Spain and you're spoiled for the amount of creative players you have, I think it's almost a bit silly to not use them in those wider areas where they can have that room to operate.
Exactly.
But with Isco and Rodrigo outside, Isco on the left, Rodrigo on the right, I think they created a lot of opportunities, created a lot of problems. It was interesting to see them go up against the back three, which is essentially man on man when they got down there. And for a lot of the game, they did really, really well. I know people kind of pointed the finger at Luis Enrique for some of his selections. Iago Aspas was an interesting choice.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're trotting him out still, considering he's pretty old.
Yeah, a bit old, and then although Diego Costa was hurt, you still had Alvaro Morata was available.
I don't know if Alvaro Morata would have worked, because I mean him trying to win a header over like Harry Maguire, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't see.
But I'm glad he plays some of the players like Saul. Saul's definitely deserved a cap.
Yeah,
he's been just on fire recently.
He
Scored in the Super Cup game versus Real Madrid, and then Marcos Alonso definitely also earned a cap. He's 27 though, so he's getting up there. He's not a youth player.
Yeah, which is interesting because I feel like he's been operating at this level at left back
Absolutely.
for 3-4 seasons now.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Lopetegui didn't want to include him in the teams.
I mean, when you have someone at Barcelona like Jordi Alba, he's hard to dethrone from the team.
Interesting. You bring Jordi Alba up. He didn't even make the squad.
No.
And that's surprising considering a lot of people give him a shout as best left back in the world.
Absolutely.
Certainly, he's the starting left back for one of the best teams in the world. So
yeah.
So he's got certainly a claim to it. But there was, it was overall a very strong team. Pretty much, it was fairly close to what I feel like Spain's strongest team would be.
Yeah.
There's a few notable exceptions. Obviously, Diego Costa hurt. But for the most part, this seemed like their strongest team.
So now on to Gareth Bale, who has taken up the mantle from Ronaldo of being the front man, the superstar for Real Madrid, like he was always projected to do, but because of injuries and because of other stuff, he just hasn't been able to quite live up to the hype. But he's back at it. He's back to his old Spurs days. He's playing like he should, and it's good to see. It's good to see, even though it's Real Madrid, who I'm very much not a fan of. I'm glad to see he's back to his normal stuff. He's obviously doing good for Wales again. He was, 13 and 15 recently?
I think so. I mean, I know in the league, I know he has 7 goals in 7 games. He's scored in every single game out of the last 7. But, granted, some of the games have been, Malaga and Getafe don't exactly represent stern opposition to a team like Real Madrid. But still, I mean, he's scoring, which is what you want a $90 million signing to do. But like you said, he's had his fair share of injury problems. He's been through it. Everybody knows the tenuous relationship he held with Ronaldo, but now the board, Florentino Perez, believes that he's the guy to lead them, and he's and I still believe that too. I think when fit, Gareth Bale is a top 5 footballer in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
But the problem is, over the last 3 years, he's never been fit.
No, exactly.
But now he looks healthy. He looks sharp. He looks like he's ready to be the guy, and it's showing on the field. Not just at the club level too. I mean, this is a guy that inspired Wales. They absolutely tarnished. Yeah, in the Euros, 2016, carried them on his back.
Fun,
But I mean,
him and Hal Robinson, Connor. That was a fun Euros to watch.
And then the other day, I think it was 2 days ago, Wales played Ireland in that friendly. Destroyed them 4-1.
Yeah.
And Gareth Bale was at the center of pretty much everything good about Wales' performance. So it was he looks like he's back to being the guy, but we've said that before, and he's been hit by injury problems.
Yeah.
So let's just hope he can stay fit and firing, and we'll get a full season of seeing him.
Yeah, I don't think Real Madrid are going to win the Champions League again with him. Knock on wood. But I also don't think they'll crack the top 2. I think Atleti has that 2 spot down right now. Because just Atleti's lineup's looking good, but they're just not playing up to their potential. It's weird. That's how Atleti plays sometimes. But we'll see. We'll see where Gareth Bale can take him in the league. So now on to our predictions for the final Premier League table at the end of the season. We're going to do our top 6 and then our bottom 5. I'll start with the top 6. I think this year it's going to be between Chelsea and Liverpool for the top 2. Like it is right now, they both are on 12 points,
Really?
with 4-0.
So you don't think Man City's...
I think Man City's going to get third. I don't think they're going to live up to their potential as last year. And we already saw them drawing versus Wolves even.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate game. They hit the post twice and had a penalty shot denied, but I get that. So Chelsea, Liverpool, City.
And then United, I think, will be 4. I think Spurs are outside again, number 5. Then Arsenal's at number 6 again. I think it's mostly looking like last year with just the front view a little bit flipped.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason being, I think Chelsea gets a new manager and they win the league in their first year. Just how it happens. They're looking good. Now Chelsea fans are saying they're looking like the best team. I don't quite think that's entirely true, but I think over the season they'll play the best. Also, Chelsea fans arguing Hazard is the number 1 player in the world is just factually incorrect. Topic for another time. But yeah, I think one of those two will get first. It's hard to split between them. They both have deadly attacks.
Yeah.
I think the difference will come down to injuries. If Liverpool lose someone like Firmino or Mane right now, I don't think they can keep going. I don't think they have enough quality depth in those kind of positions to make up for it. But I think if they stay relatively healthy, I think Liverpool have a shot of ending their drought for sure. Behind them would be Chelsea then, which, I mean, they're looking good. Marcos Alonso's looking like a beast of a left wing back. He's getting up the field, he's pushing, he's scoring goals, he's assisting goals. City will be 3rd, United will be 4th. I think United has enough in them to still get a top 4 finish. I don't think they can I don't think they can challenge for the title this year. I don't think Jose has them in the right mindset or in the right positions or the right lineup to do so. I don't think he's willing to put them in the right lineup to get all our best players on the field to challenge with the rest of them. And then I think for bottom 5, to go down this year, I think Cardiff is going to be 20. They already have 2 points and West Ham has 0, but I don't think they're going to make it out. I think Huddersfield's going to be 19, and I think that, I think Fulham's going to be 18. I think they're going back down. Fulham hasn't really impressed me so far, just the 3 points, and really losing games they shouldn't be, conceding goals they shouldn't be, and I think their best player that'll keep them up is Jean-Michel Sarri. He's been a beast so far, and if he keeps up, then I'll be wrong, but I can see them getting relegated. And then past them, the next 2 I think are going to be Newcastle at 17, and then I say Burnley at 15 because they're already not looking good. They lost Pope to a shoulder dislocation, and they're just not looking like the same team they were last year. They don't have that fire, they don't have that energy, but I don't think it'll be enough to put them down back to the lower leagues.
A lot of that could have been having a challenge on 2 fronts early in the season.
They did, but they also lost already. They're already out of.
Yeah. So now I think with the focus solely back on the league, I think we'll start to see them claiming more points. My predictions look a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's too early in this season.
Oh, it's always too early to say who's going to win, but it's
tough.
always
If I had to, I'd say Liverpool look really strong this year, and I think jumping out to such a hot start is only a positive. I think I think Liverpool will win, and I think it will be a very close race. But I think their nearest challenger is going to be City.
Mm-hmm.
I have City finishing 2nd. They still have, in my opinion, probably the most
terrifying attack.
I think Liverpool's attack is more terrifying. For me, it's more their depth.
Yeah, exactly.
City's depth is unbelievable. Some of the players they could throw off the bench are first team starters.
I mean, you take out Sterling, who's been on fire recently. Sorry, I know that's a Liverpool sore spot. And you have Sane, who's still been a beast.
So I think, for me, they're still the most deep squad in the Premier League and arguably the world. But I think they'll finish second this season. I think Liverpool's got just a spark about them. I think the signing of Alisson and the emergence of Joe Gomez at the back is going to transform the defense, because we've, in recent years, Liverpool has had the goals. It hasn't been a problem with scoring. It's been a problem with choking away 3-goal leads. But now we have a defense that looks like it can buckle down and muscle through a long haul if they need to and absorb pressure.
And a goalie that won't make stupid mistakes and let him in.
Hopefully he won't repeat the nightmare that he had against Leicester.
No, that was funny.
But
I think at this point the reason that happened is because everyone's seen film on him doing that exact same move 1,000 times in the Italian league. I think everyone just knows it's coming. And he predicted it, and he stole it and scored.
Yeah, but
at least you're getting scored on by just like a singular mistake, and not like your entire back line watched the ball hit the post.
We're not defending nearly as poorly as we used to. I think
you don't have Club One out there.
Right now we have, in my opinion, the best defense in the Prem. Statistically, yes, but also just in terms of what we can defend, who we can defend, how we defend. I don't see any major weaknesses in our back line. So for me, those are the top two. I think Liverpool just pipped them barely. I think I have Chelsea third, and I had Chelsea third at the beginning of the season. People kind of looked at me crazy then, but I think Sarri is a brilliant coach. More than anything, their depth in midfield is astounding.
Oh, it's incredible.
I mean, they get rid of Bakayoko, who's a bit of a train wreck.
And kind of dead weight at this point, and ship him off to AC Milan, where he's also been dead weight.
And in return, they get Mateo Kovacic, who is supposed to inherit the reins at Real Madrid. World-class midfielder, combined with Jorginho, one of the best ball-playing defensive midfielders in the world. Only thing I don't like about the midfield is it's pushed N'Golo Kante out of his natural role.
Oh, absolutely.
The role that he was by far and away the best in the world at.
Yeah.
But he's adapting well to that box-to-box role.
Yeah, and he scored in their opener versus Huddersfield.
Off a bit of a lucky volley.
Oh, absolutely.
But still, he's putting himself in good positions. He's adapting well, and then it's the depth behind him. Ross Barkley has looked rejuvenated. Danny Drinkwater, when he's had the opportunities, has looked solid enough to move the ball around. Cesc Fabregas still has a few years left at the top level, so they have an extremely deep midfield. I still am not totally convinced at the other two ends. I think Kepa looked like a bit of a panic buy.
Yeah.
You had to buy somebody because you just lost
Courtois. Snake.
But a bit of a panic buy to pay $80 million and set the world record for
absolutely.
For a guy who so far has, granted he's had little to do, but what little he has had to do in terms of shots on goal, he's had a few balls where he could have saved, and he's letting it. But it's a maturation process.
Yeah, exactly. He's so young that they have a lot of years ahead with him.
It's more in front of him. Yeah. Antonio Rudiger has probably looked the best defender on Chelsea's team in terms of just actually defending, because I think Marcos Alonso, as good as he is going forward,
he's not a great defender.
Just a subject going back, right?
Yeah.
And he reminds me of Marcelo at Real Madrid.
Oh, absolutely.
He's essentially an attacking midfielder playing
He's just
left
a
back.
fat attacking midfielder playing defense.
So but I don't think Marcos Alonso offers good enough defense on the left side. Andreas Christensen hasn't looked comfortable under Sarri. David Luiz still looks subject to
David Luiz has looked terrible recently.
He's looked subject to big errors at the back.
Oh, absolutely.
On the other side, Cesar Azpilicueta is solid. He's always going to be solid. He's been very good. Is Gary Cahill still at the club?
No idea. He's still at the club. I don't know if he's.
I haven't seen him feature this season.
Yeah.
Maybe he has, and I've just missed it. But they haven't looked overly compact in the back. Arsenal shredded them up. Tore them apart in that 3-2 thriller. Arsenal should have had 7 or 8 goals in that.
Oh, they easily could have. All the beautiful cutbacks they had.
Yeah, and just missed opportunities from right in front of goal. But Chelsea's defense got absolutely torn apart by an Arsenal.
They showed what their weakness was.
By an Arsenal team that's floundering. And
absolutely.
I'm also still not convinced by their attack. When you have Eden Hazard you're gonna have opportunities.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant player.
But even when Hazard's going not doing as good, then you have Pedro stepping up. Pedro already has like 2 or 3 goals so far.
I think this is just an early season blip. I don't
Oh,
think
absolutely.
this is
It's not going to continue
Yeah,
like that, but
I think
it's good to see him being in the right spots.
they've got the players on the wings with Hazard, with Pedro, with Willian. It's more for me at the striker position. There's so many question marks.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Alvaro Morata, he's not the type of player that Sarri likes at striker.
No.
I mean, look at the striker he employed at Napoli, Dries Mertens.
Yeah.
Essentially an attacking midfielder, really short, really crafty. For them, it's not about getting crosses into the box. It's about keeping the ball on the ground, working your way into shots from high percentage areas.
Yeah.
And that's not Alvaro Morata's game.
No, but even we saw with the over the top balls, he absolutely destroyed Mustafi because Mustafi's a terrible defender. Destroyed him and then slotted it near post past check, and that was just a beautiful goal right there. I don't think he's going to be able to replicate that many more times this season, but at least he showed that he has the ability to take over the top balls like Dries Mertens type.
I think in his limited appearances, Olivier Giroud has looked more impressive of the two.
Oh yeah, he's looking back to his
But I
old
mean,
self.
the best fit at their position is out on loan at Valencia.
Yeah.
And
I don't understand why they loaned Michi out again. I don't understand why they loaned him to Valencia, who have
looked really good
plenty
at
of attackers.
Dortmund last year.
Yeah.
Looked
I don't
really good at the
understand why
World
they didn't
Cup.
loan him back to Dortmund, because if they loan him back to Dortmund, Dortmund doesn't have a striker right now. Now they signed Paco Alcacer on loan from Dortmund. Not from Dortmund, sorry, from Barca.
Yeah, that'd probably be their best striker, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's on loan again. New manager, same thing for him, unfortunately. But so I have Chelsea finishing third, pretty much solely because of their midfield and a new manager. I have Tottenham finishing fourth.
Really? Over United?
Yeah, I do.
You like their summer signings?
They definitely didn't strengthen,
No.
but they didn't weaken either. They kept.
They kept Son, which is important.
They get Son back from the Asia Games.
Yeah.
They kept Alderweireld. They kept Danny Rose. They kept Harry Kane. They kept Moussa Dembele. So they kept all of their important players that were in jeopardy of leaving, and they still have their starting 11 can still contend with anybody.
Yeah.
For me, it's depth, but I think they'll do enough to win.
To edge out United.
Yeah, I think they'll do enough to edge out United for fourth.
Gotcha.
I think United look a really poor side these days. I mean, Brighton Hove Albion. Come on now.
Yeah.
Brighton Hove Albion. They just don't look like they have an identity.
Part of that comes down to our defensive pairings. I mean, Lindelof is not the perfect pairing for Bailly. He never was. Lindelof doesn't belong in the Premier League.
I don't think you have a perfect pairing at the back. I mean, every single one of your center backs looks suspect.
I think our best choice is going back with Smalling. I just have the list there. Smalling has been one of our most consistent, not only just center back, but scorers recently. Scored the winner versus City last year in the Derby. That was incredible. And he looks like he wants to be there more than Lindelof does.
Yeah, look, United is a team with no identity.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't know if they want to park the bus. They don't know if they want to get out on the front foot. And now they're so caught in between those two worlds that when you ask them to do one or the other, they just flounder.
Absolutely, that's why we've been losing to away teams, to bad teams, because we don't know what we want to do. We don't know if we want to dominate, if we want to counterattack what we're trying to do.
You've got one of the best midfielders in the world, and you can't get him to perform on a weekly basis.
You can't get him in the right position
because you keep playing him out of position and putting him in areas
and giving him
he
too many
doesn't wanna be in.
responsibilities.
And I get that he's a footballer and he should adapt, but as a coach, your job is to get as a
the
manager,
best out of your
you're supposed to
players.
get the best out of your players.
Exactly.
So you want to put them where they can succeed the most. And attacking wise, got a lot of big names and pretty much no production. Alexis Sanchez looks a shell of his former self at Arsenal. Romelu Lukaku has shown almost a regression. Last season, he looked like he improved a lot in his hold-up play with his touch. This year, and granted, it's only
a small sample
in.
size.
It's only 4
and he
games
didn't play
in,
the opener even.
but
I know he did actually.
He
And
didn't
missed that chance.
necessarily look sharp at the World Cup.
No, I mean he didn't look like a slouch either, but he just looked.
Pretty much all
bang
his goals
average.
came against Tunisia or some other.
Yeah, it's like Tunisia and Panama.
Yeah,
Where
so,
he scored.
and then he looked awful against France. He looks good against Brazil, but that's because Brazil essentially played with two defenders because their fullbacks like to get up. So he doesn't look too sharp early on.
No.
Rashford.
This season will be a true test for you.
Rashford, I'm still not completely impressed by.
You're just salty about the
No.
home game.
No,
I'm kidding.
I truly think he hasn't done it for me. But
I think he's not playing his natural position. He's playing left mid with too many defensive responsibilities. But Jose's too adverse to playing two strikers that it doesn't give us the opportunity to put him where he should be.
But
So.
I'm Man United 5th.
And then Arsenal
And then
6th.
Arsenal 6th. Although I will say, for Arsenal's credit, I think they will improve. I think they'll move up in points from where they were last season. But I don't think it'll be enough to change their position.
Exactly.
Bottom 5 is a bit of a toss-up right now because you've got a lot of teams that looked like they'd be bad doing well. Watford.
Watford's undefeated still.
A lot of people picked for the drop, and they're third in the league, tied
They got 12
on
points,
points with the top team. They're third on goal difference alone. But then you've got teams like Burnley, who
Finished 7th last year and are floundering again.
very well last year, and now they're second to last, sitting on 1 point with a goal difference of -6.
Yeah.
You've got West Ham, who spent a ridiculous amount of money this summer and still they're the only team in the Prem yet to collect a point.
Absolutely. I mean,
So-
they haven't had the easiest of
No,
the schedule so
they've
far,
had a
but they
rough-
still should make the most of it.
They've had a rough group of fixtures, but
Yeah.
for me, I think I'll pick to go down Cardiff. I just don't think is going to score.
I don't
enough
think they made
goals.
enough. Yeah, that's my thing. Last year they made it back up by being a really good defensive team.
Yeah, and
But
I
I don't
just
think
don't
that
see
can
them.
continue.
And they lose probably their best midfielder from last year, in Marco Grujic, who went back to Liverpool from his loan. So I just don't see them scoring enough goals. I think Huddersfield drops.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Terriers.
Yeah,
It's
that
sad to
just-
say, but
a good story last year, but just not enough quality from top to
Absolutely.
bottom. And then Newcastle, I'm not going to pick to drop yet because they have Rafa Benitez there, who looks like he can get a point from any match.
Yeah.
That's the type of manager he is. So
and they have DeAndre Yedlin. He's scored versus Manchester City. What a guy.
I'll pick Brighton to go down.
Brighton.
Yeah. I think Burnley ends up finishing somewhere around 10th. I think they'll be a
Think they make it back.
mid-table team. I think focusing on the Europa League early cost them in the league, cost them in both actually.
Absolutely.
But I think now that they're focused solely back on the league, I think they'll finish mid-table. West Ham, I think, will finish mid to bottom table, somewhere around 13, 14. Fulham has been quietly impressive.
Are you sure? They got killed a few times in the opening. They also won 4-1 on the weekend.
I've more been impressed with their mentality. It's easy for a newly promoted team to sit back and defend.
That's a good point.
They wanted to get on the front foot, and I think that'll serve them well when they play beatable teams. Obviously, exposes them when they play the Liverpools, the Man Cities. But when they play the teams that they can beat, that they can get after, like Huddersfield, like Newcastle, like Southampton, I think they'll collect more than 1 point from those games, which is why I think they'll finish, somewhere around 12. Wolves have looked at.
Yeah, I was going to get on to that. Biggest surprise of the season thus far has been Wolves. You could argue Watford, but Watford being in the Prem for a few years, we already kind of know of them. But Wolves have been really impressive. Ruben Neves is doing good. Raul Jimenez scoring goals. And they're just in general looking very competent, very well organized. They look like they're used to the Prem. They look like they've been here before. They look like they know what they're doing. I mean, half the Portuguese national team belongs to them, but still, they've been my biggest surprise so far. My biggest disappointment has to be West Ham. Spent a bunch of money on Felipe Anderson, among other people, and still can't get it going up front. Arnautovic is not performing. Felipe Anderson has looked okay, but nothing like he should.
The $45 million they paid for
No,
him.
absolutely not. And just in general, they don't seem to know what they're trying to accomplish this year. They just kind of seem like they're floundering.
Once again, I think it's a lack of
Identity.
direction, a lack
Absolutely.
of identity. But for me, the biggest surprise, I don't want to say one team, so I'll say teams that a lot of people picked for the drop, quietly impressing. I mean, all three teams that most people projected to drop this year are looking good. Watford tied on points with the top team. third on goal difference. They've looked very good.
Crystal
Then
Palace, Wilfried Zaha still keeping Crystal Palace up single-handedly.
You've got Bournemouth at 6th.
Yeah,
Bournemouth
was also picked for the drop because they didn't improve much, but they're still looking good. They got Callum Wilson firing again.
Sitting on 7 points. Lewis Cook in that midfield has looked a real weapon.
Absolutely.
Eddie Howe has been one of the best managers in the Prem, doing a lot with very little for a few years now. And then Southampton, a lot of people thought were going to drop last year for a while, thought were going to drop this year. They've already got a win under their belts. They're already sitting on 4 points at 12th in the table. Could easily have been at 6 points, and in the top 10. So they've looked quietly impressive. My biggest surprise has been teams that looked like they were destined to be relegated, really showing out early in the season. And granted, it is only 4 games in, but still, they've looked solid.
From the limited sample size, they've looked like they won it.
If I had to go with a different surprise, I'd say the behind the scenes discord at United.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't see that from a top club.
No, you shouldn't see it. It's all part of Jose. I think it boils down to the manager not having control over his players and wanting that control, but not having the respect from his players to have that control. I mean, we saw it at Chelsea where he got kicked out by a coup of Chelsea players who just didn't want him there anymore, who thought he was toxic. I don't think he's being toxic to United. I don't think Jose was ever the guy for United. I think that was more of, we need a manager and he's the best on the market right now. I don't think his play style fits United's past. I don't think his play style is what United need to win. I think they need, obviously the obvious candidate is Zidane as the best free agent right now. I think if they had gone for Tuchel, that would have been a marketed, really good idea. But it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I think having Jose out by either Christmas or by the end of the season will be key for the next few years. I don't think he's taking this club in the right direction, and I don't think he's taking his job seriously enough. I think he's resting on his laurels, and I think the players see that and are uninspired by it. They see him not taking any responsibility for losing 3-0 to Spurs. They see him just instead bragging about his personal accomplishments. It's ridiculous.
I think his feud with Ed Woodward.
No, absolutely.
And regardless of getting your transfer targets or not, because Manchester City didn't get their transfer targets. You know, they wanted Jorginho, they didn't get him. They wanted Fred, United got him.
I still don't believe in Fred, but that's a topic for a different time.
They wanted Virgil van Dijk last year. Liverpool got him. They got
Mahrez, but
after a drawn-out saga, and they paid over the market for him because originally.
Mahrez was close to joining Roma last year for 40-45 mil, but Leicester wanted 60.
And they wanted who else? They wanted Isco. They wanted Antoine Griezmann. So they chased all these big players, and they got nobody. Yeah. Essentially, did they make any signings this summer aside from Mahrez?
Probably a few, but no one incredible.
Not any big name.
Nothing to shake up. Yeah, nothing to shake up their lineup.
So they didn't get pretty much any of their signings either, and you don't hear them whining about it. They just cracked on, and they're back near the top of the table. Could easily be tied at the top, but it's just Jose Mourinho. I don't know if he feels like he doesn't have enough at his disposal, or that the board doesn't trust him. But whatever it may be, he has. His feud with Woodward has boiled over to the point where it makes the situation there untenable. But
Absolutely.
I think the amount of money they would have to pay to buy him out to get him to leave means that he'll stay.
Yeah, I think that's the dangerous part of contracts nowadays for anyone, for even American football. Colleges hiring these coaches, like Texas A&M hired Kevin Sumlin. They signed a contract where if they fired him, they'd have to pay him $10 million anyways, which is an insane sum of money. I assume Jose has something like that, to where even firing him isn't much of a threat because he still knows he's going to get a huge payday.
Yeah. But it should be a really, really good Premier League. this year. I mean,
More competitive than the last few years for sure.
and I think we were talking about it earlier. I think I don't think I've ever seen a Premier League with this much talent and
Exactly.
top to bottom.
Top to bottom, exactly. There are no clear. This person's definitely getting relegated.
I mean,
Because even
you've got some really solid players on some
Exactly.
really poor teams. I mean, West Ham has Marco Arnautovic, Felipe Anderson, and Jack Wilshere when fit is still a very solid midfielder. So they've got good talent. You've got Chicharito on that team, who's one of the all-time top leading scorers for Mexico, if not their all-time leading scorer.
he is. He passed
he is.
El Matador.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I mean, so they've got phenomenal players, and then you look at teams like Fulham, a newly promoted team, are snagging midfield targets out from under the nose of teams like Barcelona.
Yeah, I don't understand how they got Sarri. I think everyone just kind of looked away from Sarri for a
He
second,
has
got
been
distracted, and they just snapped him
He's
up.
been a revelation
Absolutely.
at Fulham this year. Goal of the month, but his play has been phenomenal both ways. Which brings us to our final topic. Who do you think has been the most impressive summer signing in the Prem?
I think definitely it's got to be Fred. No, I'm kidding. No, Fred's been terrible. Honestly, I'd say the most impressive overall signing, I'd definitely say Sarri. I think for a team like Fulham to get a player that was linked with so many big clubs was just impressive, and I think he's going to be running their midfield. And I think they're going to be. I think if he stays fit and he stays at the top of his game, I think they could challenge. Unlike I said earlier, where I said they'd be like 15th or whatever. Did I say they relegated even? I don't even remember.
You picked them.
I
You
picked him for
the
18.
job.
Yeah, I picked him for 18. I think if he plays to the top of his game and continues to run the midfield, I think they could stay up for sure and do good. But I think in a few years, regardless, I think Fulham are getting relegated because most of their players are on loan. What would you say the best summer signing is?
That's tough. Just back to Fulham really quick. I think if they can make some of those loans permanent deals or attract new talent by staying up this year, they've got a good core down the spine. Alfie Mawson, really good center back.
Oh, yeah.
John Michael Sarri, one of the better midfielders in the Premier League. And up top, Alexander Mitrovic.
Mitrovic has been a revelation again.
Already has 4 goals.
Yeah, been relegated multiple times. And
So
just back at it.
They've got a good spine. But for me, the best summer signing has to be Naby Keita for Liverpool.
Yeah.
He has looked an absolute boss in the midfield, going both ways. And I think he fits into the side so perfectly. Links the play from back to front so well. He's comfortable defending. He's comfortable running at defenders. He just looks a complete midfielder, and I think it explains why Liverpool were willing to wait a year to get him. But he's looked absolutely phenomenal. If it's not him, though, I would actually say Jorginho.
Absolutely.
Because
But I think that's a necessary signing. It's not like surprising, like, wow, they got him. I think that was part of signing Sarri, is they literally had to sign him, or Sarri would not play or coach for them.
Yeah, but regardless of whether it was necessary, he has transformed that side.
Oh, absolutely. He's part of Sarri's system. There's no Sarri without Jorginho recently. So.
Yeah. And so he's looked phenomenal in a Chelsea shirt. And I think those 3 guys for me are the best summer signings. You take your pick, really. They're all performing at a high level. The reason I say Naby Keita is just because of his fit. I think is perfect.
Absolutely.
Whereas Chelsea had to adapt to implement Jorginho. They actually had to move, in my
Players
opinion,
around.
the best midfielder in the
Exactly.
world out of his position, out of his favorite position at
I know.
least.
And
then,
moving Fred out of his favorite.
and then
Sorry, 53
I
million
think
for Fred is insane.
The reason I say John Michael Sarri, the reason I lean towards Naby Keita over John Michael Sarri is because I think Naby Keita's performances will inspire a lot more wins.
Oh, absolutely.
Than
And
Sarri's
could
will.
inspire them to winning the title
to
as
the
opposed to
title.
just staying up.
So to me, that just comes down to what his signing means for the club.
No, absolutely.
But I do think John Michael Sarri alone might single-handedly keep Fulham in the Prem this year. I actually have them picked to finish.
Top 10.
I wouldn't say top 10 just yet. I think Wolves actually finish top 10.
Ruben Neves looking good.
Yeah, they don't have the squad of a newly promoted side.
Exactly.
Partially because they signed so many new people once they got promoted.
But they actually the key for them is they actually signed these players. Unlike they signed Adama Traore, who's already scored the winner for them recently. He's been good.
Permanent deals. These weren't loans. But But Fulham, to me, has a lot of talent top to bottom. I could see them finishing 12th, just outside the top 10, but safely away from the relegation zone.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to be safe in the relegation zone this year, though. I think relegation zone might be up in the 40s.
I could see it reaching 39, 40 points, which is unfortunate for the teams that find themselves in that position. But still, I think for me, Fulham looks safe to stay up from what I've seen so far. So my best summer signing, Naby Keita, but there's some really good newly promoted sides here.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for listening to our inaugural podcast for this. That's about it. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see y'all in a week.